In the closed al-Hol camp, so-called Islamic State families who've been detained for nearly 7 years live under military surveillance and are entirely dependent on humanitarian aid. 6 months ago, a few dozen of them were able to leave and return to their home province of Deir ez-Zor in northeast Syria. A family of 15 now lives in this village and is gradually relearning to cope with everyday life.
Water is a problem here.
This 28-year-old woman who lives with her sisters and their children wants to talk about their precarious living conditions and asks to remain anonymous.
The water doesn't get here often. It depends on the day. The house isn't well set up in general. We can't afford gas all the time because it's very expensive here. It costs around $13 to $14.
This household depends on the meager wages of the oldest man in the house, a 14-year-old boy. This woman's husband, who she says was a supporter of Islamic State but not a fighter, was killed in a bombing raid in 2018. She only left the self-proclaimed caliphate herself after the final battle of Baghouz a year later. Returning to the province where the Islamic State group held its last stronghold means facing up to a new world and the mistrust that comes with it.
7 humiliating years of our lives have gone by. I have a child who grew up without even knowing what a tree was. They haven't quite adjusted. They still call a room a tent. We have to teach them that this is a room, and they're afraid of everything. Other people are afraid of us like before, as if we were there to watch and punish people. They think that we're going to come at them with swords in our hands. I can't answer that.
This woman's current relationship with the Islamic State group is difficult to pin down. She rightly suspects that the Kurdish authorities continue to monitor families after they leave the camp. Determined to regain her independence, she's enrolled in a business course at a local government centre. We weren't allowed to film the workshop, but she leaves delighted.
I want to work as a dressmaker. They teach us how to make a profit. For example, if I make a dress, how much can I ask for it? How will I sell it? How do I set up a shop?
The healthcare centre manager is using their visit to raise awareness among the women about health issues in the region.
The amount of disease has increased because of the water and lack of cleanliness. So what do you think we should do? The Islamic State era was very difficult for the community. Attitudes changed, as did behavior. But in the end, there will be tolerance in society. And it's this very society that can influence families who have isolated themselves or who are returning from the al-Hol camp to correct their behavior.
The return of the Islamic State group to the region is an ongoing source of concern. Attacks against the armed forces in northeastern Syria since the fall of the Assad regime have increased and are often attributed to the group. Kurdish authorities have imposed safeguards to maintain control. Nobody leaves the al-Hol camp without a kafil or guarantor, who's often a relative or tribal leader. This kafil from the neighboring province of Raqqa agreed to explain the so-called kafala system.
We had to find some mechanism to get people out, with women and children as a priority, not men. We signed a guarantee saying that these people are from my region or are relatives of mine. We act as guarantors and we gather all the information possible about these people. Of course, you have to take on this responsibility. If there is a problem, then I help the security forces to arrest them.
The system has flaws. Tribal leaders are often threatened for collaborating with the Kurdish authorities. Some families disappear without trace. As for the guarantors, they have no legal obligation to assist the people under their responsibility once they are out. Some women and children, in particular those rejected by their families, find themselves in a very precarious situation.
It's a shelter for animals, but we've been forced to live here. And on top of that, we have to pay rent. The owner knows that we have no one to support us. I have to go and ask the sheikh for money so that we don't get evicted. Sometimes he gives me some, but I'm ashamed of having to go to the sheikh all the time.
This 35-year-old woman married a foreign Islamic State fighter against her family's wishes. Since her return a year ago, all doors have been closed to her and her children.
I want to integrate into the community. I was told that a restaurant owner was looking for someone to peel potatoes. I asked him, but he said there's no work. I asked why, and he said no one would come to buy from him if an IS member could put something in their food. The situation is dire, and we have no NGOs to help us here.
With food becoming scarce and no solution in sight, she's considering returning to al-Hol. Like her, many of these women who want to reintegrate into Syrian society did not realize the extent to which the Islamic State shadow would continue to hang over their heads after more than 6 years spent in a refugee camp.